Hi, welcome to this episode of Low Carb in the Leaves. I am Dr. Mary Barson from Real Life Medicine, and this week we're discussing how to get on track and or stay on track when times are tough. I came across this term yesterday called toxic positivity, and I had never heard the term toxic positivity before, but I have certainly encountered it in the past, present, and I'm sure in the future as well. And it got me thinking. The way that our lives are structured in this modern world, particularly with social media, we are bombarded with positive images all the time. People sharing their wins, sharing their most beautiful photos, sharing their positive experiences on social media, which, is not an inherently bad thing, but it can lead us all to believe that we're meant to feel happy all the time, that we're only ever meant to feel positive experiences, and that if we feel a negative experience or an uncomfortable feeling, that's somehow wrong and we should be pushing it away. Perhaps you've experienced toxic positivity. It's kind of when perhaps an example would be you've had a hard day and you just want to be able to debrief and chat about it, but the person with whom you're debriefing says, but look on the bright side, I don't worry about it, just think of this, but all these other reasons why you should be happy. And although that probably comes from a place of kindness, it's not necessarily helpful, because being uncomfortable is a normal part of life. We cannot experience joy and fulfillment and fun all the time. Sadness, boredom, grief, frustration, these are just as normal a part of the human experience as is happiness and fulfillment. And we need to be able to honour those experiences without pushing them away all the time. Because when we try and push away those negative experiences, that is often when people will reach for the bottle of wine, for the packet of Tim Tams, for the Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I've certainly done this before. Times when my resilience has been low. Like a few years ago, I was a busy doctor and I was a busy junior GP, and there's lots of stressful things in that job. I was a rural GP, which so it involved like emergency medicine as well as seeing patients, and it was hard. Like so many people's jobs are stressful, and this was very stressful. In ED, I would see people who were very, very badly sick and really injured, and that was in itself quite a traumatizing thing. I'd be dealing with the depths of human despair, with domestic violence, with chronic disease, with grief and loss and fear every day. And though I love my job, don't get me wrong, I absolutely feel honoured and privileged to have this job. It was hard, and back then I wasn't very good yet at protecting myself, at looking after myself. And so I did sort of start to circle the drain of burnout. And at this time also, my resilience was low because I was studying for my fellowship exams, which are these big, horrendous exams where you study for like 10 to 40 hours a week for a year on top of full-time work and parenting and trying to be a human. And I distinctly remember after a bad day at work, I'd be driving home and I'd just be full of all these yucky, uncomfortable feelings, ruminating about the day, and I would always drive through the supermarket or drive through the service station or go to the supermarket and buy ice cream on the way home. Even though I would tell myself over and over again that I wasn't going to do that, I wasn't going to do it, I still did. And then that, of course, didn't help anything. I would just eat to try and numb those emotions. I never turned to wine because wine just makes me feel sick, but I know that lots of people do. For me, it was ice cream. And it worked. It soothed me at the time, but then afterwards, of course, I felt worse. And my health was deteriorating, and I was moving further and further away from my goals, and I had this sense of lack of control, and it was pretty horrible. So back to toxic positivity. How does that all tie in? It's okay to not be okay. I think that's a fundamental concept that we all need to learn and understand. It is okay to not be okay. It's normal to be sad, to be angry, to be frustrated, to be bored. These are normal experiences. And if we can learn to accept that and even just sort of lean into them a little bit, kind of give these uncomfortable feelings a hug, if you will, just let them be there, then they lose some of their power. Constantly trying to push them away, get them out of the way actually makes them stronger, because they will push back. But if you just let them be there, give them a little hug, accept them, then they do lessen their hold on you. And in time, you can find that you have less need to use ice cream, Tim Tams or wine to push them away. Of course, it is totally okay to push away negative feelings sometimes. It's a very healthy and normal thing to do, to distract yourself, go for a walk, see a friend, watch a funny movie. I just think that another tool that we should all have in our armoury is being able to accept uncomfortable feelings and letting them be there without feeling the need to numb them, particularly not to numb them in toxic, unhealthy ways. I think emotionally we all need a space, either in our mind or even a literal space. We can just let it all hang out, emotionally speaking. Just let it all hang out, let it all be there, just accept it. Accept ourselves as the wonderful, complex human beings that we are. And that provides the emotional space where we can all keep moving forward towards our goals. That's it from me for today. It's been absolutely wonderful. I'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Low Carb in the Leaves. Bye now.